This is the inside of the 2021 Benimar Mileo 202. If I firstly move to the main control panel just here, I can turn the 12 volt on by firstly pressing this button here, followed by this one. Next we have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. And then last button up the top here is for the awning light. Buttons along the bottom mainly give us information. So this first one here will give us a condition of the leisure battery. And then this one will give us a condition of the vehicle battery. This one here will let us know how much water is in the fresh tank. And then this one here will begin to flash when the waste tank needs emptying. This button here controls the illumination of the control panel. Here it's just letting us know that we're currently connected to mains electricity. And this one here will illuminate when we start the engine to indicate that the alternator is charging both vehicle and leisure batteries. These two buttons do have to be on for this to illuminate though. If your freshwater tank is getting low, you'll get a flashing indicator just here, and if either of the batteries were low again, you will get flashing indicators. If we now move across to the Truma control panel for the heating and hot water, you'll see at the moment it's currently displaying the time, and again it's letting us know that we're hooked up to mains electricity with the little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now press the button, we'll get a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate it, they will start to flash. So if we start with the first icon just here, this one is for your heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. And then all we do is just rotate and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome. Once we've decided, click and that will store it in. And you'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is running, the flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you've asked. If I now click again and rotate to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water. Again, if I now click, hot water is off. And if I rotate, I can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. I can heat in hot, which is about 60 degrees. And I can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water extremely quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power to heat the water. And again, the icon will continue to flash until the water is at temperature. If we now move across to the next icon, this one here is for your power source. So we are currently using mains electricity for the heating and for the hot water, and that's indicated by the two little lightning strikes up here. So we are using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. If we have both power sources available to us, we can run in dual fuel, so a mixture of gas and mains at 2, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. These settings are very handy, especially in the colder months, as you can use both power sources to get you up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we have no main supply, we can just run on the gas. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating system. So it's currently in eco, we can turn it up to high. If I turn off both the heating and hot water and go back to it, we can actually use it to vent the motorhome as well. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So all we need to do is select start time, and then an end time, and then decide what we want on within that time period. Lastly, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period those settings would apply. If I now go back to it, I can now turn it back off again, and when we go back in we can then alter the timer again. Next we just have clock set, and then lastly we have the settings menu just here. So we have offset just for the thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly change it on here. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language, index, which is just for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels will throw up error codes. They will usually be something relatively easy. At the moment we're running on main supply, so if we pulled the mains lead out or we tripped, etc., it would indicate on the control panel that there was a problem. So a warning triangle will pop up and a series of numbers and letters will appear in the center. If you then look in the manual, most of the manuals for the Truma stuff is now downloadable from online, or if you just Google it, it will then tell you what the problem is. And then if you rectify it, 9 times out of 10 the error code will just automatically disappear. If that doesn't happen straight away, if you go back to the warning triangle and double click on it, it will then say no error and disappear. If you've tried this and you still have no luck, if you still have stuff running like I have at the moment, just turn them all off. And if this doesn't work, I then always suggest the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again. And the way we turn it off is just by holding this button down until it says off. If you've tried that and still no luck, I always then say just try a full factory reset. Sometimes these control panels just need a hard reset and then they run absolutely fine again. This particular system can be run from the Truma app. If you are going to do that, download the app onto your device and then make sure your Bluetooth is turned on and then launch the app. It will firstly ask you to go to the iNet box, and in this model the iNet box is located in the wardrobe. And it will ask you to press the Bluetooth button, which is just located on the side just here. It will then send out the Bluetooth signal and you can commence connecting up. Once you've connected up to it, you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. If you want to basically use it from further afield, you can do so by purchasing a pay-as-you-go SIM card. It then inserts just down the side here. You can then register this through the app and then control heating hot water from much further afield. Whilst we're in here, above it is the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof. On and off just on the side here, and then control the boost just here. And then it's just a matter of installing a TV like this one just here. And then if we just turn it on, obviously as you change locations, the TV will need to be retuned in. With these Avtex TVs, it's very simple. You've just got this quick tune button just here, just literally hold it and it will then take you straight back to the retune menu and then just hit OK. If we now come down to the bench seat just here and remove the cushions, you'll see underneath this bit here we have storage, and then we also have the location for the trip switches just here. So if something's not working on main supply, just check to see whether or not you've tripped in here. You'll see you have the main RCD and test button just there as well. We also have the 12 volt fuses just here. So if anything's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. We then have the battery charger just here and here. This is also what the solar panel is linked up to, so you can see just there what it's actually doing. If we now move across to the other side, to the travel seats, etc., and again we now remove the cushions. We have the location of the Truma Combi Boiler just here. This section here drops down to allow both travel seats to be used. There is basically a lever here that you pull and another one on this side just here, and then this section will then drop down and then look like this. If I now just remove this section just here, tucked down here is the location for the boiler drain valve. You can just about see that little blue diamond just there. That is the top of it. These particular drain valves are automatic, so if the temperature inside the motorhome drops below about 3-4 degrees, this valve will automatically open and drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. If you are going to manually drain it, make sure the water pump is turned off and then come to that blue diamond and then twist it. Then what will happen is at the base of the unit, so down the front of the unit, just down here, a little blue button will pop out. All you then need to do is push the blue button back in to reset it when you want to refill it. If it's auto drained, all that will happen is the blue button will pop out and all you need to do is just push it back in to reset. If it will not stay in, it's just too cold in the motorhome and you will need to turn your heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. The only time we're touching that blue diamond is when we are manually draining it like so. The freshwater tank and water pump are located just here, so we can gain access to the freshwater tank just here if we want to clean it out, and then the water pump just sits here. Tucked down just behind the driver's seat there is a switch. It's on when the light is on, and this is for the heater in the waste tank. So if you are using the motorhome in cold climate and there's a danger of freezing, you can pop this on to avoid any frost damage occurring to it. There is no heater in the freshwater tank. As you saw, it is an internal tank. If I now just slide the net curtain open and open the fly screen, you will see this device just here. This is a pressure switch, so if you are using your heating or hot water on gas and you open this window, it will automatically turn it off. Reason being is the flue for the boiler sits underneath this window, so this stops you giving yourself carbon monoxide poisoning. We have the hob just here, so we've got the electric hot plate that runs on main supply. Red light comes on to let you know it's in operation, and then we have the two gas burners. And then beneath it the oven and the grill. Above it we have the extractor fan, so light on and off just here, fan on and off just here. Cutlery drawer just here. Within the cutlery drawer there are the gas isolation taps just there for the motorhome, all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. But from left to right we have the fridge, heating and hot water, cooker and the barbecue point. Microwave just here. Again, this works on main supply. We have power setting just here, and then on and time setting here. Thetford fridge freezer, so on and off just here. This is an automatic fridge, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst we're on the move. You will see after a short period that the screen disappears. Just tap the on off button to bring it back up again. We can take it out of auto if we want to, just by pressing here, so I can manually put it onto mains. I can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. We're going to get an error code at the moment and a red flashing light because the engine's not running. And I can manually put it onto gas. But auto is the easiest setting to have it on. Temperature control just here. And then lastly we have anti-condensation jacket off, anti-condensation jacket on. You do need to make sure that this is on in the warmer months. This stops a build up of condensation behind the unit, which would then run down and form a puddle underneath it. Freezer box at the top, fridge at the bottom, and as it is a large fridge, you do have a secondary travel catch just at the bottom there if you have a lot of stuff inside it. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. Twist to wind the roof vent open. Then we have middle button to turn the unit on. And then we have arrows out for extraction, arrows in for cooling. Variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are closed for travel. Spare wheel located in this cupboard here, and then we also have the jack and wheel brace just there. Also stowed in here at the moment is basically the ladder for the drop down bed. Washroom. Shower just here. Shower screen just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is fully secured for travel on here. We then have the Thetford toilet, open to the cassette just here, push to flush just here, level indicator for the cassette just down here. This will rotate round to red when it needs to be emptied, and then close back up again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out, so if you do feel resistance, just make sure nobody's left it open. Light switch for in here is just tucked underneath the vanity cabinet. We have the table. It moves all around just on this lever here, so we can slide it backwards and forwards. We can rotate it. We can also lower it to make the lower bed. To do this, the button for it is just located here, and it just needs to drop down onto all these parts just here. It's a lot easier if you remove the cushions first, because you can then see what you're doing. And then if we just push the button, you'll see that the table starts to drop, and then it's just a matter of moving it and then dropping it into the correct position. Once fully lowered, it will then sit like this, and then what we need to do is flap this section here over, so it then sits like this, and then it's a matter of then dropping all the cushions in to make the bed. So the cushion arrangement looks like this, and then we have this gap just here in the middle, and that is what the supplied infill is for. And as you can see, it just pops in like so. With the electric drop down bed, it just controls just here. If you're having it in the higher position, drop it down and then just attach the ladder just here. If you're going to have it into the lower position, make sure that you've turned off the lower lights to avoid any scorching of the upholstery, and then just continue to drop it down, and it will automatically stop. Light bar up the top here, on and off on the black switch just there. If you are having the bed in the higher position, you have netting all underneath the mattress, which can then attach to the ceiling just here. If the electric bed was to malfunction, it can be manually wound up and down just here. You'll see just tucked down there is a 13mm nut. You are supplied with a winding tool in the book pack to wind the bed up and down in the event of a malfunction.